You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Steven Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hey, Shaun Priest, how are you today?
Oh, hello, Steven Scott. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am rocking a new look here at Double Tap Towers. Oh, yes.
Describe it.
I've gone sunglassless.
Sunglassless? What? This isn't right. That's your thing. That's your shtick, is sunglasses.
No, my shtick is my shtick.
Oh, very good. Well done. Why have you gone sunglassless?
Well, because the elves here at Double Tap Towers have been playing with some of the toys around here, and they've managed to make it so that the lighting isn't quite as bright in my eyes, so I don't have to wear my sunglasses when we do the YouTube version of the show anymore. Isn't that nice? Isn't that accommodating?
Well, I don't know. You feel more comfortable without them?
I do. I mean, my eyes are now left to roam free.
Roam free.
As free as the eyes roll, I guess.
That's beautiful. Unless we get emails saying, please cover up your roaming eyes, then it's a good thing. Well done, Steven Scott.
Anyway, look, let's bring in our welcomed back guest. Goodness, at some point I should really learn English.
Get these sunglasses on.
I can hide my shame. Michael Babcok is here.
Hey!
So I had to put my sunglasses on. The Meta Ray-Bans, of course.
We're not allowed to put them on. We're sunglassless over here.
Sunglassless.
I will say, I was never a type of person that would wear sunglasses growing up, and I've been blind since birth, and all of my family wanted me to wear sunglasses because that's the traditional thing that blind people do,
So they say,
and now that I have the Ray-Bans, I'll wear sunglasses everywhere. Like my family's like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you wearing sunglasses now? That's weird."
Yeah, you only don't wear them when they're being charged. That's the thing now, right? It's like you know that they're needing charged up if you're not wearing them.
Yes, well, and it tells you at 15% that things may not work right, and I'm like, everything's not going to work right now. I got to go put you in the charging case.
Yeah.
Have you bought a second pair just for battery reasons?
No, not yet.
Okay, not yet. That seems to be the new thing.
Yes, not yet.
Yeah, it certainly does. It seems to be the new way. Everyone seems to be thinking of asking Santa Claus for perhaps a second pair of Meta Ray-Bans. Look, we've got you on today because we're going to do something we haven't actually done before, and that's a Q&A episode. We've never done a question and answer, although we've decided to call it Ask Mikey Anything.
Yes, AMA.
No pressure on there.
In other words, we thought, we don't know the answer to these questions. Get Michael on. So that's exactly what we're doing. So this hour, we're going to go into your questions you've been sending, and we'll do this again. Well, I say that we'll do it again. I don't know if Michael will want to ever come back again, but we'll certainly try. We've got some really interesting questions. We'll dive right in. And first up, it's Camille who has a question for us.
Since the last Overcast update, it is still accessible, but much harder to navigate. Anyone there having a better podcast app? Happy tapping, Camille.
That's a good one to get started with. Podcast apps. Overcast has had some issues, it appears, although in fairness, it seems to have good days and bad days, a bit like me, actually. And there are others out there. What have you been using to listen to your podcasts?
I'm a Castro fanatic. I really like the interface for Castro and being able to just queue up audio. So if you're not familiar with it, Castro lets you subscribe to podcasts, and those podcasts live in your library. And then you can go through and look at the podcasts and go and listen to all of the previous Double Tap episodes if you wanted to. And how you do that is you simply flick down on an episode. So in your library, there's all of the podcasts. You tap on a podcast or double tap if using VoiceOver, and then find an episode either in the recent or in the all podcast episodes, and then flick down and you have add next or add to last or end of queue, and then that adds it to your queue, which is the bottom left tab. The thing Castro's mostly given credit for is the inbox feature. So you can set it up so some of your podcasts or all of your podcasts put either their most recent episode in your inbox, or they put all of their episodes in your inbox. And then you just go through that and you queue up what you want. And then you're pretty much making your own customized talk radio or music radio. Podcast radio is the best way to put it. And so that's how I listen to my podcasts for the most part.
Now, is that a paid app or is there a subscription? I seem to remember.
So there's a subscription. It's not a cheap app. I pay like $5 a month because honestly, Castro had a time where I didn't like what it was doing. It was reading me titles of show episodes and then summaries of totally different episodes, which makes real interesting content sometimes. Like I think one time it said Double Tap was talking about the struggles at the U.S. border. I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense.
Well, who knows? It might have been. It could have been my own struggles. I mean, I have struggles with mints on a daily basis, so who knows? Maybe come up with that.
But I canceled my subscription because it was coming up for annual renewal, and I said I'm going to go to month, and when I did go back to it, and then I have been using it regularly, and I haven't had that issue, so I should switch back to annual to save some money, but you already hurt me once, Castro. Do I want to give you a year's worth of commitment?
Yeah.
And is this available on any other platforms, or is this strictly iOS?
So it's strictly iOS. You can put files in your iCloud folder under Castro. There's an option called sideload, so that's how you can get content onto Castro if you want. That's a paid feature. One of the other paid features is being able to skip chapters. If you see a chapter and you don't want to hear anything about that, you can go in and disable that chapter from even playing. But it is only available on iOS. Pocket Cast is what everyone says to go to if you want cross-platform, but I never liked the interface.
Okay. And anything else on Android specifically? Because there's a lot of Android listeners, obviously, who want to know what's good for them. I mean, Google Play Podcast was around for, or Google Podcasts, but that's been scrapped, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. So I'm not on Android as much. The two that I go to is Podcast Addict and... I forget the name of the other one, but you could get Pocket Casts on Android as well.
Okay. And have you tried this Luna RSS on Windows? Because I hear that's very popular as well, just looking beyond the platforms of smartphones.
I have not.
Yeah, that's
I've
what I
heard
hear
of it,
about.
but I've never played with it.
No, neither have I. I have the link to go to. It's like I saved the link, and I'm like, I must go download this thing, and then I never do. And
Is that something you do very often, is listen to podcasts on your computer?
Nope. That's why I haven't done it, because I would never listen to podcasts on my
computer.
phone.
Well, the reason it came up was because someone was looking for podcast chapters or the availability to listen to a podcast with podcast chapters and skip over them in Windows platform or on the Windows platform, and that was what came up. So there. Okay. Right, thank you for that, Camille. Great question. Yeah, I think Castro sounds like the winner. I guess, look, let's be honest about it. There's always the challenge or the potential of something happening with the app. I mean, Overcast has had good days and bad days, as I was saying. And, when it works, people really like it. But, it doesn't take much for these apps to lose their accessibility.
There's also something to think about, too. If you don't want a subscription, a really good app that a lot of people go to is Downcast. And I think that's a one-time purchase. It's been around for years, but it's a really simple interface to use. And they don't offer a subscription, I don't think. Shaun, you use the podcast app, don't you?
I do, yes. I use the default iOS podcast app. But then again, see, the feature you described there with Castro and others as well is in queuing up and making your own playlist. Is not a feature that I would use. I'm very much dip in when I can.
Yeah.
But I can totally understand how people do like them. But yeah, I find the default podcast apps, and I believe now the podcast is part of YouTube Music on Google, on the Android side?
Yes.
I think so.
It's a bit confusing, isn't it? Because you get YouTube podcasts and yeah.
But yes, I'm very much the free version. You know me, Mickey B.
Yeah, what can you say? Silence all around on that one. Okay, thank you for the question, Camille. Dave has been in touch on the question of text expander. I have a feeling Michael will know the answer to this one.
Hi, Shaun, Steven, and Laura. This is my first time emailing your wonderful podcast. I listen attentively to every episode. Thanks for all your very good work. The charity for which I work is thinking about using the text expander tool for Windows to allow staff to answer commonly asked questions using templates accessible with hotkeys. Do you know if Text Expander is screen reader friendly? If it isn't, are there alternatives to Text Expander that would work well with JAWS so that all of us can use the same set of hotkeys, resulting in the same templates being accessed? Thank you so much. Dave from Ontario.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that question. And I've got to say, I have many follow-up questions to that one, Dave. So thank you for asking it.
Yeah, so do I.
So first off, maybe explain to us, Michael, what Text Expander is, what we do with it.
Yeah, so Text Expander is a tool that I first used back in 2012, 13, somewhere around there. And I think they've been around for longer. It's made by a company called Smile, which should make you smile when you use the software. You know,
Well,
when you're looking
it
at the
didn't make
name.
me smile just there, just letting you know. So I've audio description for you.
Text Expander allows you to set up an abbreviation to fill in something longer. And I think it's best to describe it for the most part by giving an example. So I use the snippet ;M. So that's tapping the button directly to the right of the L key and then the letter M and then hitting the space bar. And that would put in my whole email, michael@payon.media, and it's right there. And I don't have to type in all those characters. I typed in 3 buttons and that put it in there. That's a simple text expander. You can do that for just, help articles. You can make them as long or as short as you want. Great for responding to emails. They're also known as macros, which I never played with in Microsoft Word. The advanced version of Text Expander allows you to type in a snippet and then, so for example, we could say ;F for feedback. And you can make these snippets as short as long as you want. You don't have to start with the semicolon. Old habits, it's just how I do it. And so once you enter that snippet, it can do a variety of things. So it can pop up and give you an edit field that you can type in, and then that will insert that information into the place in your snippet. So for example, if you want to personalize the email you're responding to, it could say hi, and then have a fill-in snippet where you would type the person's name that you're responding to. And then you would tab through and fill out any other information in the snippet. You hit OK, and it fills that out for you. The last way that Text Expander can be used is to automate actions on your computer. So the podcast host we use has an edit field for the title field, edit field for the subtitle field, and then you have to tab to the browse button, which is actually 2 tabs because you got to get past the link. So you can set up a snippet that pops up and asks you, what's the name of this episode? You type in the name, you hit enter, and then it will do the tabbing for you to get you to the dialog box or the button where you can choose the file to upload. And so it can help automate things, and it is cross-platform. The problem that I have is I've only had good experience with it on the Mac. I've tried it on 2 different computers. I've heard from some people that it works well for them using JAWS specifically. I have not done extensive testing with NVDA, but with JAWS specifically, I've ran into the issue more often than not that it will freeze up my computer when it's trying to expand a snippet, and I'm not sure what that reason is. Full transparency, I haven't tried it on Windows probably in like 2 years now, but it happened on 2 different computers. An alternative you could look at would be something like AHK auto hotkey, but the problem is you can't synchronize snippets very easily for you to expand, and it does take a little more for actually programming in the snippets. And I guess try it. If you're doing a lot of stuff in Chrome, there is a Chrome extension for Text Expander that I believe worked okay on Windows for me. So if you're responding a lot in Chrome, that might be a solution for you.
Wow.
That was pretty detailed. Thank you so much. It's funny. Text Expander has always sounded absolutely amazing to me. Mm-hmm. And someone told me it's not accessible, forget about it. And I've never tried it. I'm just the feature set is just so useful, right? It's so annoying.
So this is one of the instances where, and again, I haven't tried it on Windows in a couple of years, but where my experience for creating snippets was better on the website, the textexpander.com website, than it was within the app itself. Because since it allows you to synchronize within an account, you can sign in and create your snippets on their webpage, and then that will synchronize to all your devices that are connected to your Text Expander account. So I would try that if you've struggled with creating snippets in the app, and that might be a better experience.
I have tried AHK, also hotkeys, before. I thought it was really good. It's a little bit more in-depth from what I understand. I haven't played with Text Expander, but it's almost like a scripting language if you get into it quite deep to make your, to do things like expand text. But I must say, I find it interfered with my screen reader. And I think that's a problem with all these sort of things, is that it can interfere with your screen reader is sort of intercepting your key presses anyway from the start. So I did have a few issues on some of the macros and the scripts that I had wrote for AHK. A lot of the time I had to send a command to the screen reader first to send it to sleep. I think it was NVDA Control and Z or something, sends it to sleep. I had to write that into all the scripts. Of course, then when you switch over to Jules, it doesn't work. So yeah, all of these things sound fantastic. But again, if you're a screen reader user, you've got to be a little bit more wary and test these things out.
See, here's my fun bit. So I thought to myself, I don't care about this text expander thing because, there's this thing called text replacements on Mac and across iOS and iPad OS, I guess, and on it goes. But, in the Mac ecosystem, that's the solution. But I found that in Microsoft Outlook on the Mac, they don't work. So I have one called RDT, which is for the Riverside link that we use to connect here on this platform so we can record the show. And RDT double tap, right? So RDT, so I just remember that. And I just set that up as in text replacement. I can type RDT and then hit space, and it will change that to the link, the big long link that we use to connect to the show and the studio. But it doesn't work in Outlook. And I don't know why. I don't know if there's a way around that. I know there is a text option or text replacement option within Microsoft itself, but that seems to be per machine. So you can't set that up, over across the cloud, because that was quite annoying. Because I had thought of doing that. That would be a perfect solution, but it only worked per machine. So I don't know. I guess text replacement or text expander, I should say, is the answer there. But it's kind of annoying that you can't just use that feature across every app.
So I'll tell you the same thing I tell a lot of other people. I would reach out, because this is a Microsoft product, to the Disability Answer Desk and say, hey, I'm trying to use a native feature in Mac OS on your Outlook product, and it's not letting me expand it. And maybe they have a solution, or maybe there's a setting you have to enable to let that happen.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like hard work, if I'm honest. But okay,
yeah,
I'll try
it's too much hard. Forget that. No, you should do that, definitely.
Yeah,
but
good point,
I've done
actually. I'm going to do that after the show.
I've set up that text replacement on iOS, for example. It's so useful. And for emails, I use it all the time, like your ;M. I have SDTC, ShaunDoubletap.com or whatever it is for my email. Except you go into some text fields and it doesn't work. And you type it in and hit space, expecting it to be replaced, and it isn't. And it's so annoying. I don't know why that is.
I stopped relying on iOS's text replacement features for that reason, and now I just hopefully am able to autofill it without autocorrect above the keyboard. A lot of times when it wants an email address, the email address will show up there, and that is nice.
Listen, we're going through the emails that we've been sent in by you, and we're just going through, we picked out some specific ones with questions, and that's why we've put this episode together today, because it gives us a chance to really just dive into these questions and get the answers, hopefully, as well, to suit. Let's move on. Jim has been in touch, and he wants to talk about the Zeitgeist 2. This is something we've been talking about for a while here on the show, thanks to Kyler, who demoed it recently.
Hi, I really enjoy your show. Do you know where I can purchase the Zeitgeist 2 in the United States? Thanks a lot. Jim Eastmead.
Jim, I love short emails, and so does Laura. So thank you for that. The brevity was much appreciated. This Zeitgeist 2, despite this being something that is very much, Zeitgeist is of the moment, what's going on right now, it seems to be rather elusive.
So I didn't know where to get it either, but I did find out that in the United States, for $379.99, you can go to Blind Mice Mega Mall and pick up the Zeitgeist 2.
Blind Mice Mega Mall. I've not been there for years.
Yep.
Is that mall still open? Is that one of the few that's still open?
It is. It's a virtual mall that's still open. It hasn't been shut down by...
Kids aren't skating through it of an evening. No, right, okay. Yeah, brilliant. Well done. Thank you. That was easy.
Yes.
This is going to be a good episode, I tell you. I feel we're going to get a lot of answers to a lot of questions. Kerry's up next.
Hello both, and thank you for a great podcast about everything new from the Apple Glow event. I'm currently running an iPhone 13 mini, which at the moment is okay, but if it's true that they aren't bringing out any more in terms of mini phones, I will need to upgrade at some point. I'm one of those people who does like colour despite not being able to see it, so that's a big factor for me. But more importantly, do I upgrade to the Pro so that I can have LIDAR? Never had it in the past, and I really wonder how much use it is to us as blind people. Do people really use it? I'd be interested in hearing about any use cases. Thanks, Kerry.
So, perfect timing for this email, Kerry, because I have in my hand, my grubby little hand, and it's probably rather grubby as well, the iPhone 16 that's just arrived from Apple for me to play with. Not the iPhone 16 Pro, not the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the iPhone 16. So this is the one which is your base model iPhone, I guess. You would say the iPhone SE, I guess, is the base level at the moment. But it does have all the features like, the action button, which is new in there, the camera control button, and it will be able to use Apple Intelligence features. But there is a question that kind of raised its head when this arrived, Shaun, which is, do we need the iPhone 16 Pro? I know a lot of blind people are out there buying the Pro.
Yeah.
You see a lot of people jumping on the iPhone Pro Max, the 16 Pro Max. But why? So what's your take on this, Shaun?
Well, for me, when everyone was going Pro, it was because of the battery life. I mean, it's a larger phone.
Yeah.
The battery life is absolutely amazing. I never even thought about going Pro before because, the extra money. Most of the time it's because there's extra camera features and some other features as well, such as maybe USB speed, which I wouldn't really miss if I didn't have them. But the battery life does make a huge difference. So I totally understand why people go for them. But when it comes to LIDAR, I'm not sure. I think we're going to have to do some tests on this because since I've had the 15 Pro Max with LIDAR and since iOS 18 with I believe it's called live detection in the rotor, I am using that door detection more. I've used there's furniture in there that I never knew about, which tells you if there's a seat that's empty or not, and there's a table or a sofa, and if anyone's sat in it, which I think is incredibly useful.
What was the one that told you there's a penguin in front of you?
Yeah, that was scene detection, and every scene detection I've ever used tells me there's toilets and people looking at me and penguins. I think it's just my house. It's living in Manchester.
Has your iPhone got Charles Bonnet syndrome?
The point is, I believe that some of those features, or a lot of them, require LIDAR, but I'm not. I don't know yet. So we're going to have to do a comparison here, Stephen Scott.
Oh, more work, great.
But would
Michael,
I miss it? I don't know.
What's your take? What have you? Did you buy a new phone this year?
No, I have not bought a new phone this year. I'm on a 14 Pro Max.
Yes.
I've never used a Pro Max before this phone, and I got my wife's hand-me-down. And now I don't know that I'll want to go back to a regular-sized phone, especially with the way that BSI is. But that wasn't the question. The question was LIDAR. And I haven't really used it until iOS 18. I think Apple missed the boat when they did LiDAR. They should have did what they did with VoiceOver in iOS 18 and put it as a rotor action, because then people would be more apt to use it instead of hiding it away in the magnifier app.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's where you had to go, and I never opened it because I don't need magnifier. I'm completely blind, so why would I open that app?
Yeah, I also thought that was strange.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a little bit clunky. If you're out and about and you suddenly think, oh, let me use door detection. An example I give is that there's a parade, we call them. I don't know if that's a thing. A parade of shops here, just shops in a line. And being able to just quickly run door detection. And it will tell you what sort of door it is. It will read out any signs on that door as well. And how far away that door is from you is really, really cool. But having to... there was some the shortcut that I recently found was something like 4-finger triple tap or something like that would bring up the detection mode. Don't quote me on that, because the point was that you would try to use it and it was a little bit clunky. Magnifier would come up and not always in the right place you needed to be. But with live detection, just having it in the rotor makes it so easy to quickly get to. You swipe through the options you want, you double tap to turn it on or off, and it just works. And I find that I'm using it more and more. So, yeah, it's I think LiDAR may become more relevant to us now with iOS 18, maybe.
Yeah, I'm wondering if perhaps it may be the case that we should recommend it. I mean, I don't know. I don't use those features as much, but that's partly because I'm not out that often. Now, when you go out, and in fact, you're saying you're using door detection and it's working well for you.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, actually, because I must admit, a lot of these features, I don't want to sound like I'm being nasty about them, but a lot of them didn't feel very useful at the time or weren't very accurate. I mean, I think the people detection one, which came around first, the first kind of use case for LiDAR, which of course
the COVID detection.
Absolutely. The person in front of you in the queue or the line, are they the appropriate distance away? It was useful for that. But then beyond all that, and then point and speak came along, and I thought, now that doesn't require LiDAR, which is interesting. I did see on the, what is it I get? I get text detection in magnifier, and I get point and speak. But that's all I get in terms of detection. So
right.
I'm not getting any more than that, which I don't expect to. I'm kind of surprised to even get those, to be honest. So, but I mean, that tells you what comes in that sort of base level. And I guess I'm thinking about people who don't have the money to go out and spend on a Pro. What are they losing? And that's partly, I guess, what Kerry's asking here. But, LiDAR does seem like a really good feature. It would have been a shame. It's funny, they've brought all these features from the Pro range last year into the base models, if you like. They could have brought LiDAR as well. I don't know why they can't just expand it across the range. It would have actually made a lot of sense and would have opened up that feature, which is kind of now becoming a bit of a Pro premium feature for blind people.
Yeah, it is. But then again, are there other apps that could maybe fill that gap? Maybe there's something in Seeing Eye that doesn't require LiDAR that could do something similar, or others out there, maybe Orion. I honestly don't know because I'm just so used to going to door detection in my case. But there may be a workaround for that. But the point of the matter is it worth that extra money going from a standard entry level, let's say iPhone 16? And that extra, how much is it? It can be quite a lot of money to go up to a Pro. It depends if that's worth it to you, doesn't it? It's very difficult to say, it's definitely worth it or not.
I would definitely say for you, it sounds like it is because you're using those features. I'm not. So therefore I think, well, I'm not losing anything, really.
Yeah, but if you had them available to you, would they then become invaluable? Would it be worth the money? Don't know until you try it out, right?
Goes back to the point, though. Why should I pay the premium for the option, But then I suppose that's the way life is now, right? You've got to,
Yeah.
And it is a mainstream feature. It's not something that is, no one's saying this is if you're blind, you got to pay the extra. You have a choice. You can have it or not have it. But
for me, that's the two main things I think that matter most is battery life and the LiDAR are your main considerations. Things like, for example, on the iPhone 16, better quality microphones. Yeah, maybe faster speed with the USB connection. Yeah, I don't think that's anything unless you're a real professional that needs that speed for anything workflow related. I don't think you're going to miss. So battery life
average
or LiDAR?
users, no. Average users, no. But I would say that even an average user would benefit from LiDAR. So it's a tricky one. I think it comes down to, Kerry, if you can afford it, then get it. But if you can't, then you're going to lose it. But at the same time, like you say, Shaun, there may be other ways to get that information through the device as is. A lot of people are very excited. It's funny, right? Because a lot of blind people out there buying Pro Max phones. But and equally, there's a huge amount of blind people who are desperate for the new SE4. And it's such a distinction. It's almost like, because the SE4, let's be honest, when it comes out early next year, as it's rumored to do, it's going to sit in a strange place in the Apple system. Because, I imagine it's not going to have the camera control button. It's probably not going to have an action button. It's basically going to be an iPhone 15. And I think, well, where does that fit into the whole mix? I don't understand what that's for, because I would just buy the iPhone 16 at that point. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
it
don't
needs
know
to
where
run
it sits.
AI, right? If it doesn't run Apple Intelligence, then I'm slightly worried by that.
And the talk is it will run.
That's okay.
AI,
then.
so
Then
we shall
it's all
see.
good.
Let's go to David's question on reading PowerPoints.
Hi, this is David calling from Elmira, Ontario. I have a question about uploading a PowerPoint presentation to AI and having AI interpret and describe each slide of the PowerPoint. Now, I've found that Picture Smart in JAWS works really well. It's giving me the feedback that I want. The problem is I have to do each slide individually. So I tried ChatGPT, and I'm able to upload the PowerPoint presentation, but ChatGPT will just summarize it. It doesn't really read every slide, and in these slides there are bar graphs, so I'm really impressed with JAWS Picture Smart, but like I say, I can't. I can only do one slide at a time. I've tried Claude and some other ones, Gemini and so on, but some of them don't accept these types of, they don't accept PowerPoints, including Seeing AI. So I'm sorry, including Be My AI. It will not accept the PowerPoint format. So I don't know if this new Envision AI service will work, the Ally service. That would be interesting to try if it will accept PowerPoints. But anyways, that's my question for today. Thank you for all your good work. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
David, thanks for a great question. I've got to be honest, it's not something I use, so I'm not going to pretend I know the answer to it, but hopefully Michael can. Michael, have you changed position? Have you moved? What's going on?
I blame outside chainsaws. That's all we'll say. It would have been overwhelming. So I did not have an answer for this question. There's two things that come to mind, and hopefully one of these will help you. I called Mr. Microsoft. I don't know that he actually wants me calling him that. So I called Jeff Bishop and said, hey, Jeff, what would you do in this case? And he said, I would try Copilot. So if you haven't tried Copilot, ask Copilot questions about the PowerPoint presentation, because it might be able to pull the details that you want. But also, when you're sending your PowerPoint presentation to ChatGPT, it might be curious to wonder how you're asking the questions that you need the information for, because you might be asking it to describe this PowerPoint to you, and a better prompt might be something like, can you describe to me what each slide on this PowerPoint presentation has, and include the charts and details as well. And when you ask it for that direct question, that might give you different results, especially if ChatGPT is an interface that you like working with.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I remember Mike Buckley was on here from Be My Eyes recently talking about this. Many people will say, hey, can Be My AI do this? Or, could it, for example, give me a translation into French of a piece of text? And he's like, yeah, just ask it.
Yes.
You got to ask the question. And actually, I'll be honest, it kind of was like a, oh, wow moment to me as well, because I'm thinking, yeah, of course, that's right. I wouldn't think to do that. The prompt really does matter. Copilot's a great idea because, I mean, I know Microsoft are embedding Microsoft Copilot across all the different platforms, so it wouldn't be a huge stretch to imagine that even in PowerPoint itself, Copilot could be useful. But I don't know if, I still don't quite understand how all that clicks together.
Me neither. I don't play with Copilot. It just gets in my way a lot of times. So definitely probably should give it more attention. Brian Harchin did a real good AI presentation demonstrating Copilot and using it.
He did,
too.
yes.
So.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I still have a few accessibility problems with it, with navigating around. I can get stuck and lost in it. But I think it is getting better and better. I think the question here, though, is because I agree, I've started playing with the Picture Smart feature in JAWS. So doing the JAWS space and then P and then enter will give you a description of whatever is currently in focus. And it mentioned in a power tip I read today, actually, in the mailbox, the message board, that's very good for in a meeting for describing exactly that. But the not describing more than one slide, what's the format you get? What do you download? Is it a PPS file? Is it, and does ChatGPT support that format? Would you have to open it up in something else and sort of convert the format to make this work? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where my mind goes is, because he said that Claude didn't support the format, so I wonder if he is able to upload the PowerPoint directly. The other option, if you think you'd like Claude to work, is share that PowerPoint as a PDF, so export it as a PDF, and then that should be interpreted by Claude.
Yeah, I think some people might be forgiven for thinking that the AI is intelligent enough to figure all this stuff out, but you do have to sometimes give it a little bit of a helping hand as well and be clear on what it is you want. And I'm learning this myself because, I'm finding with that sort of tuning, that sort of finer prompt, finer tuning, I should say, prompting, is actually something that's really, really valuable. Great question, David. Thank you for that. And again, if you guys have any thoughts on this or anything you'd like to contribute, and you're taking copious notes as you go here, saying I must write in with this, then do get in touch. Yeah, as usual. Feedback at doubletaponair.com is our email address. And of course, you can call 1-877-803-4567. Let's move on to Ronnie's question.
Hello, people across the pond. I'm wondering if there is something out there that either I can wear as a harness or whoever I'm with can wear as a harness that can keep me in a crowd control. I know Shaun has been trying to find a toilet seat harness type deal for all the devices, and Steven has a backpack with a Shaun handle.
Yes.
But other than that, is there anything out there? Anything you could recommend? Thank you.
So let me try and figure this out.
Please clarify.
Yeah, what are we asking for here?
Castle prod for crowd control.
I'm thinking it's like a guide dog harness for Ronnie. Is
For
that what
a
we're looking for
human?
here?
A guide dog harness for a human, whether that be for Ronnie to hold on to, or
you get it for kids,
someone to
don't
hold
you?
on to.
You get those ones for kids. You can sort of attach it to the child and say,
Reins.
"Stop playing with that," or
Yes.
or whatever it is you say to a child.
Or just clip a leash to your collar if that's what you want, or like there's a lot of different solutions. I have not used this myself. Usually when I'm in a crowd and my wife's sighted, so what I'll do is I'll grab onto her right shoulder, and then I'll actually put my hand against the back of her right shoulder, and then we can just maneuver through the crowd pretty quickly. But that's not the right solution for everyone, because sometimes when you're doing guided travel or whatever it's called this time, where the blind person holds the sighted person or blind person's elbow and gets led around, that's not convenient in crowds because you can get disconnected. So I get the reason, but I don't have a solution.
Now, I know when people take part in guided running, for example, I've seen things such as a dog toy used. Have you ever seen a dog toy which is like a long strip of rubber? No, just bear with me on this. Stop it. That has a handle on each end. Stop it. Has a handle. Now, the idea behind it as a... Stop it! Unbelievable. The idea behind it as a dog toy is that you hold one end and the dog grabs hold of the other. It's for playing tug.
The dog holds the other.
Yes, for playing tug, right? But
Hang on, what?
Look,
hang on. Wait a minute. The dog is pulling the human along via a dog toy.
This isn't for navigation.
No,
this is
two
for playing.
humans are holding the dog toy and running together, right?
Yes, it basically.
What's the dog doing?
The dog isn't involved. Just his toy. You've stolen the toy off a dog.
Okay.
And then use it. I'm just saying. Right, that sound effect is going. I'm hitting that delete key. I'm saying I've seen people use something as simple as that, but as for an actual, specific assistive device for that, I don't know of one. So
I think there must be something better.
We're gonna have to
than a dog toy.
Listen,
come on.
as someone who's run many a marathon, I can say it works very well.
You've watched a marathon. You've been aware of marathons nearby.
I have not laughed like that forever. Thank you, Shaun. I needed that.
I have not laughed at that in a while.
I try and help.
Oh, dear. I was thinking of biped. That was the one that came to mind, actually, when Ronnie was talking, because I'm guessing you're not suggesting a guide dog harness for a human, although maybe you are. But just when you mentioned the toilet seats, Ronnie, I thought, you're maybe thinking of the biped, which I rather unhelpfully call a toilet seat. Which you wear around your neck, and that is your navigational aid, which is not a fair representation, although I think it kind of is, a fair representation of what biped is, because it goes around your neck and it's a harness. It's not one of those things the police would wear, It's like one of those kind of, really, like with all those things in it.
Oh, well done. Yes, we know exactly. Can we laugh at him now, please, everyone? Unbelievable. Well, we're not quite clear on the purpose, I think, on this one, Ronnie. If you need it more for, are you looking for something to guide you through the crowd, or are you looking for someone to help you stay attached to a sighted guide? Mm-hmm. I'm not too sure.
There was a thing in Scotland, I don't know how widespread this is, but it was called the Ramble Tag, which was a product which came out. I don't know if you heard of this, Shaun, here, but basically it's something which, when you get assistance in a train station, a lot of people are quite uncomfortable holding onto someone's arm, perhaps holding onto a shoulder. Maybe they can't do that or they don't feel comfortable doing that. This basically, the person wears it, so it goes up to the elbow, the crook of the elbow, and it there's this little handle that hangs off it, and you hold on to that. So you're holding on to the person, but you're not actually holding on to the person.
I'm a little teapot. That sounds amazing. I want one.
Very good, actually. Great idea. Developed and invented by a blind person, so you can't laugh about it.
No one was laughing. Very good. Well done. Everyone go out and buy it.
Dog toys. Okay.
It works.
We don't do like a best of the year thing, but if we did, that would be like, you know, right up there, right?
I did it in such a serious tone and everything, and you ruined it.
Tracey is asking us about the Meta Ray-Bans, as everybody else is, but in particular in conjunction with the BlindShell.
Hi, Steven and Shaun. Thank you, Laura, for reading this. I have a question. I want to buy the Meta glasses, but I'm using BlindShell 2 for calls and text. I do have an iPhone 11 and can hotspot it to my BlindShell. Yes, it would mean carrying 2 phones, but would the glasses work using hotspot? Or would I have to put in my SIM card and just use my iPhone? I prefer my BlindShell for calls and text. As you may remember, I had problems with calls hanging up. Not resolved. Hope you can help. Regarding, think it was called SightLink, what type of vision, I wonder? Would it be realistic? Or like looking through a camera lens? Whatever happens, won't be in my lifetime. Thanks as always, Tracey.
Thanks, Tracey. Still having problems with the BlindShell. That's a shame. We're going to be speaking to them soon, so I can put that question to them. They're going to be coming on the program quite soon. As for Neuralink, I think is what you're referring to there. That's a whole other discussion, but we'll maybe save that one. Let's focus on the Meta Ray-Bans and BlindShell. Is that possible? Do we know at this point?
So,
it is? Okay.
Well, yes and no. In Tracey's scenario, yes, because Tracey has an iPhone. So you connect the Meta Ray-Bans to the iPhone, and then you go into the BlindShell under Network, and they have an option, I believe it's called Personal Hotspot. I don't have a SIM card in my BlindShell, so the 3 options I have are Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and speed test. So if you have a SIM card in yours, you'll have another option in there, so go into that option, and then turn it on, and then go to your iPhone, connect it to your Wi-Fi under the BlindShell Wi-Fi with the password you gave it, and then your Meta Ray-Ban should work just fine with that, and you shouldn't have to put a SIM card in there. It's an interesting way. Yes, you'd have to carry around 2 phones, but that's a solution for it too.
We'll have to ask the guys at BlindShell if they plan to do MetaView app on BlindShell.
They know there's the desire.
Yeah.
Because they have to almost rebuild that app, don't they, for the BlindShell Classic? So it's not a case of they can't just say, let's make that app available. They have to almost customize it.
There's some work to be done. Yeah. Because that's the whole powerhouse behind the Metas is the app, the MetaView app. So could you run the if you had no internet connection at all, what sort of functionality would you get out of the MetaViews? You wouldn't get AI, obviously.
I think you'd just get the Bluetooth audio.
You would still get the Bluetooth audio, right?
Yeah.
Take pictures.
But those pictures would need to save to an iPhone. They can't save to the BlindShell.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I hope that helps. Doesn't sound like it does, Tracey, but maybe it does. I don't know. Let's go to David. Another David, actually. We've had get in touch with us about audio description. One of my favourite topics.
Hi, Steven and Shaun. David Tatel here. I just noticed something very odd about audio description and thought you might have an explanation. My wife and I are watching Designated Survivor on Netflix. It has audio description. On Apple, it doesn't. Any explanation? Thanks, David.
I got to say, that is Judge David Tatel, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Former Supreme Court Justice. I mean, I can't believe, honestly, it's like unbelievable.
Yes.
Right into our show. What are we doing here? This is just not. That's like playing dog sound effects and we talk about dog toys.
Stop it.
And serious people listen to this.
I'm serious.
But this is a great one because, look, it affects so many people and you're right. It's like you get description on one platform, not on another. It's a very difficult answer to this question. Ultimately, it comes down to rights. It doesn't appear, or certainly it doesn't seem to be the case because there's no evidence of it, that the audio description travels as part of the program. So whoever makes the program may indeed pay for the audio description to happen, or it's the broadcast company that actually pay for the audio description to be made, but then they hold the rights to that content. It doesn't travel with it. So a show like Designated Survivor is made by Netflix, I think, or was it NBC, actually? I can't remember if it was NBC or
I've never seen
Netflix that made it. But that was, I remember it showing up on Netflix and it had audio description. But you're right, if you find that somewhere else, you're not going to get the AD with it because it doesn't travel. So a good example of this in the UK is anything basically from HBO. So any show on HBO will be described beautifully, and more recently by the IDC, the International Digital Centre, who we're big fans of here at Double Tap, because they do just amazing description, really thought out, considered description. And when it comes to the UK, whenever that show comes, whatever it might be, we won't get that description. We will have a UK version of it done by the Sky Broadcasting Network here. So, that seems to be the way it's done. And of course, you could argue, well, I'm not getting as good AD, and I'm not, and I'm annoyed about that. But I suppose I'm at least getting something. It's not what I wanted, but okay, it's better than nothing. But I wish there was a way of them just bringing this, almost just bundling it. If you buy in a show,
all red tape.
You get the description. Exactly, it's all red tape. It's all nonsense. So that's unfortunately why it's happening, and it will unfortunately happen for a long time until something changes. Maybe a former judge could, help us push the case a little bit. Same. Michael, do you pay attention to any of this, or are you just have you given up on television?
Someone once told me that you can buy Apple TV, or you can buy I cannot talk, movies from Apple TV, and they'll have audio description, but shows typically don't. So
that's true.
It's frustrating and annoying, and I have nothing else to add aside from some help would be helpful to make that more consistent.
We share your pain. Basically.
Yeah, we really do, David. Thank you for the email. Larry has been in touch on another subject that is close to my heart.
Hello, Double Tappers. Larry here from Victoria, BC, Canada, who has forgotten where to purchase those special table coasters. Please help. Perhaps send me a link at Amazon. I'm a long-term listener, and remember these coasters were talked about during a Christmas shopping episode. I have an idea on a new app, or I should say a group of apps all related to one subject. Another email to come. Thanks, Larry or Rocky, are night managers.
Oh, night managers, eh?
Oh, God bless you, sir. Okay, the coasters from Christmas Gift Guide. Stephen, do you know these?
Yeah, of course I know them. I have them all over my house.
Yes,
what do you mean you don't know what he's talking about, Shaun?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
The table coasters.
I only ever talk about them every other day. No, the table coaster is absolutely amazing, and it saves me from losing valuable keyboards that would be covered in coffee otherwise. I got them on Amazon. That's where I got mine, and it's table coaster, all one word, Larry. So table coaster, all one word. It is available in the Canadian Amazon store as well as on the US and UK stores, and I'm sure around the world as well. It is a worldwide phenomenon, and I'm going to make this product stand out. I feel like Oprah here with the table coaster.
Oh, do we all get one?
I know, but I don't get her money for it. That's why. That's the only thing.
So is that the brand, table coaster, all one word?
If you can call it a brand, it's a name. Yeah, it's the name of the product.
Okay.
Also known as a brand, yes. Hang on a second. Let's get serious. There we go. We're back on track now. Okay, so hope that helps, Larry. Let's move on to Willy, who got in touch with a question on ChatGPT.
Hello, Steven and Shaun. Long-time listener, first-time writer. I'm a retired business enterprises program vendor in California. I have 2 issues I am hoping you can help me with. I now have the time to dedicate my time in playing my acoustic guitars. I use the Talking Tuner app and it works great. I can even tune my 12-string. Unfortunately, I cannot find a metronome that is accessible for voiceover on my iPhone. A few months ago, I heard Shaun was playing the guitar and thought you may have an idea about a product that would work. I also just downloaded the ChatGPT and am using it to help me write some songs so I can sing them to my grandkids. I have the free version, 3.5 version. I found it does a good job on this task, but I would like to delete all the chats that I don't need. After listening to AppleViz and YouTube videos explaining how to do this, when I would go to the ChatGPT app, I cannot find a delete button. I'm wondering if the free version doesn't allow us to get rid of the chat to force me to buy a subscription. Anyhow, I love your show, and your questions you ask your guests really gives me a good idea on how the new technology products work. Take care, Willy Shoemaker.
Thank you, Willy. That's very, very kind. Very, very kind. Guys, any thoughts?
I have a thought on the Metronome app. We did an episode back in July on Digital Bytes, and Chris showed an app called Tempo Perfect app, which allows you to set up a metronome with the specifications you have on your iPhone, and it was fully accessible. I think it was like $4, but if you want to hear that, you can just type in Tempo Perfect, or I sent Steven the link. So if he remembers to put it in the show notes, he can put it in there.
I always remember to put them in the show notes. How dare you? Unless of course I don't, in which case then I apologize.
ChatGPT app on iOS. I've not listened to the AppleVis description, so I'm not sure if this is what you're trying. It is slightly confusing. Open the chat you want, tap on the model name at the top in the center. That really should be the name of the chat, but they put, like, for me it says 40 plus or 40 something because I'm paying, but you can do this on the free account. Once you tap on that, then you can go down to archive or delete. Archive means you can get it back. Delete means it's gone forever. It'll keep the memories that you have from that specific chat. If you want to go in and delete some of those, go look at the data retention options in the settings of the iOS ChatGPT app. Open the menu, 4-finger tap at the bottom of the screen. This will take you to close menu button, and then flick to the left once. It'll say your name followed by the word settings, and then double tap in there, and then you can go into data retention, and you can delete all of your chats there, or you can archive all of your chats and start over, and then just recover the ones that you need.
Oh, perfect, sir. Well done. So good. Who told me recently? Was it you, Steven, about someone tuning their guitar using ChatGPT?
Yes, this was a video that came out, I think, from ChatGPT or OpenAI themselves, and that's exactly what that was, like a demonstration of how they could use this new advanced voice mode. So someone was sitting there saying, "Okay, I want to tune my guitar," and it was kind of giving a note, and then as the guy was playing the note, and he goes, "Bing," it would say, hang on, you might want to tighten that string a little bit, and it was quite incredible, actually, the way that it works. So
impressive.
Yeah, this is going to, you kind of just, every time you see a video like that, you think, God, this thing is going to be amazing, the potential of it. And the fact is, this is a bit that always blows my mind. It's all audio-based. Now, of course, again, we're getting excited about that from the blind point of view because we think, well, great for us, it's brilliant. There will be text representation of that as well and other input methods, so it's not exclusively going to be voice-based, but that's important to recognize. This is going to make, AI, I think, is just going to make things so much more inclusive for us. All the challenges we have today, Michael, all the issues we have, websites and, filling in forms and all of that stuff, it is all going to gradually disappear. I genuinely believe this because more websites, more stores, more big corporations like Amazon are going to eventually invest in doing this and making it so much easier to buy products, because ultimately, if it makes them more money, they'll be interested. They'll do it.
Yeah.
Bottom line, right?
It is. And the technology is there. Andy Lane from Be My Eyes was on a presentation last week, and he was expressing how exciting it is that we can ask questions and get detailed descriptions of images, honestly, from something as small as a grain of sand, when you think about it, because that's what goes into the technology and computing power to make this a reality. Yes, it's a grain of sand in the cloud, but the point is we have access to so much more information than we ever had in the past.
Yeah, it's been incredible. And you know what else has been incredible? This hour. I have had a great time this hour, actually, and we should definitely do this again.
Yep.
Because this was a great chance to dig into so many topics and give such great information. And it was so nice to have somebody here who actually knows what they're talking about.
You're welcome.
No, I was actually talking to Michael.
Okay.
But okay,
dog
fine.
toys, they're a thing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your contribution today. The dog is very, very happy.
He's run away.
Listen, before you go, we've only got about a minute, but I just want to ask you, you have made the switch back to what I call the right path. And that is back to the Mac. You've ditched the PC. You said enough of that.
No, my PC said enough of you and ditched me. You got to get it right. I did.
Okay, fine.
If you want to hear deep spirits, you can go listen to my PC. And unmute.show/gift has a gift guide where you can hear Steven talking about that table coaster.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, I did that for you last year. Funny, I got an email from Marty just the other day asking to do it all again. I'm going to think of another product.
Yep, got to think about something different. Or just do the same one.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Michael, thank you so much for coming back on today to do this. Come back soon, okay?
Will do.
Thanks, mate.
And remember, of course, unmute.show for all your podcast delights. And, of course, check out that Unmute Presents podcast. We are back tomorrow with another Double Tap. Shaun, it's been a fun one today.
It has. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.